Hi, welcome to the Scrapyard. I'm your host, Nathan Realpolder, here with Taylor,
ladies,
and Xavier.
Genji's old.
We're going to be talking about the Stage 2, Week 2 games, and we're going to be deciding which teams we need to hit the panic button on. If you want to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, go ahead, @Scrapyard Media. There should be a link to our Discord in the description below. Should be. If you want to follow us on Facebook, well, you can't.
It's
just
for
can't.
old people.
You just can't do it. Now then, roll intro.
Do you come from a land down under? Women go and men wonder.
Okay, so the Charge, they're winless right now. We got a 23 map losing streak. Let's talk about that.
Alright, I'm sorry. This is like... Alright, so with the Charge, I don't know exactly where to like clock this team. I mean, with the Charge, I don't think they're like garbage.
Are you sure?
They've had a kind of a rough schedule. I mean, you had to play the Shock back to back.
That is true.
And the Shock are
That's
looking
true.
like incredible. So I think the Charge are clearly underperforming because, you know, when you get 4-0'd every game, obviously there's something wrong. But I don't know if it's just like they're going through a slump and maybe, you know, they just need to kind of, you know, beat up on like a Washington or something to kind of get their mojo back. I don't know if it's like specific roster issues that, you know, that'll take like a deeper dive. But I just think they've had an exceptionally hard schedule. I think that they haven't had an easy game.
Sure.
And, you know, I just don't think they were ready to have to come in here and actually play good teams.
Yeah, they haven't had an easy game. They got...
The 4-0 against Paris was kind of bad, though.
That's really...
But that was more like a Paris came out into the stage looking to
Looking for
surprise
blood.
everybody.
They
and
were
like,
looking for
yeah,
blood.
like, hey, we're gonna do this. But then, you know, you play the Shock twice, and you play the Gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't easy games by any means. So I think that they're not excusable 4-0 losses, but like it's kind of understandable. Now, if they get 4-0'd by the Spark, and if they get 4-0'd by Atlanta, then I think it's time to like
really look at what's
look
wrong.
to maybe trade somebody,
Mm-hmm.
make a move, fire a coach, something. Because like if they do poorly in this coming week, I mean you're veering into like season 1 Shanghai territory.
You
Of
are
being hopeless.
definitely veering into season 1 Shanghai territory. They're about to break their record.
Yeah, if they lose the first 2 maps against the Spark, I mean they're gonna break, you know, Shanghai's map winless record of 24, and that's kind of, I don't know, man. I don't think you want to break that record. Like if
Yeah,
they
you don't
don't
wanna
come in and win one of those first maps, then it's like, you know, you have no fight. You know, your team just has no fight, because you should go into that game being like, we are not going to go 0-25 in a row. Like we're just not gonna do that. Like that's a game where you come in and you're like, you know, we have some pride in our performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Vancouver, Shock, New York, they're continuing to dominate.
Yeah, it's expected.
It's expected. Vancouver hasn't looked as undefeatable though. They still look super like undefeated. They still look really strong. But you can see like, I don't know if it's just like they haven't gotten used to this meta, but they don't look as...
You're saying it could be #winnable.
No.
No, I don't think anyone's beating Vancouver.
I'm not thinking anyone's beating Vancouver.
But you said you don't think they're undefeatable.
I think that there's some signs that they are not doing as well.
Like what?
Like, they've given up some maps.
Yeah, but all right, like with those maps that they gave up, it's, I don't know, man, because they'll give up maps, you know. I mean, they gave up a map against Houston, but Houston's kind of an unknown quantity. They've only had one game this stage, so it's like, what are they? But they did give up a map against Houston. They gave up a map against Seoul, but like, I don't know, when it gets tight and it's like Vancouver's running goats and it gets to those points like on, you know, Eichenwald or, you know, other maps where it's like Goats is just kind of preferable in that space.
Yeah.
I mean,
They still look clean.
they're unstoppable. And,
But
like, you cannot run
feel
Goats
like-
against them.
I feel
It's
like,
impossible.
like you said, when they're playing Goats, they look really strong. It's just that there has been times where they look like they kind of flounder. And it's just like, it's not even anything like huge. It's not anything big. I just feel like you can kind of see the cracks in their shell.
But I think that floundering
But I
is
feel
more...
like, let me finish. I feel like that they're still going to be super powerful once they fix those cracks. Like, it's little things that they're doing, but I feel like it's just like them taking some time to look at what little mistakes they did, and then they'll be really strong.
Yeah, but
Again.
I think when you have... When everyone knows that if you go Goat Smear against your team, you are going to lose, and there's nothing you can do about it, that's kind of incredible. And when it comes down to it, Goats is still kind of like a dominant meta. And so when these teams are like, yo, all right, we're going to go Goats v Goats Mirror, Vancouver is just going to win. And I think when you have somebody like Bumper on your team, especially, you know, I believe against, Houston, where he had 3 Earth Shatters in a single fight. Like, when you do something like that, like, I don't know how you're going to stop a team like Vancouver. I don't think NYXL is going to stop a team like Vancouver. Nope. I don't think the Shock are going to stop a team like Vancouver this time. I think Vancouver is only going to get better, and as the stakes get larger, they're going to feel even more compelled to rise to the occasion, and I think they're just going to take it. Like, I think they're going to take the stage. Like, I'm sold. Vancouver is terrifying.
For sure, for sure.
But talking about Shock and NYXL, I think Shock has been looking pretty dominant, but I also think it's only because they've had some easy matches. Like, they're a super powerful team. They're super, like, strong when it comes down to it. But I also think, like, they've gotten some of the easier matches. They've gotten
the easiest matches.
They've gone against Charge. They've gone against... they've gone against Defiant.
I think with the Shock, what's impressive to me is how badly they're just destroying these teams. Like, they come into these games, like, with just the intent to disrespect you. Mm-hmm. They disrespected the Valiant. They disrespected the Charge. Mm-hmm. They're out here spawn camping, throwing grabs in their spawn. Like, they're coming into games wanting to just completely disrespect the other team. And that's impressive to me, that you can go into a game like that and then actually embarrass them. Actually embarrass professional players.
I think it's really funny that the Vancouver Titans have, like, this, like, they're the supervillains of the Overwatch league, when, like, Shock is the ones that bullying everybody.
Like, they're the assholes.
They're literal villains.
Yeah, so I think the Shock come into games wanting to disrespect you, and they do it. And I think no matter how lowly a team might appear, being able to just do that is impressive to me. I would like to see them up against stiffer competition. I think their game against Toronto isn't going to be very competitive. I think their game against the Spark isn't going to be very competitive.
For sure.
But I think if you can 4-0 both of those teams, then I don't think you need to go up against a NYXL or Dallas Fuel to prove yourself. Because I think if you're just going in here 4-0ing everybody and looking unstoppable, that means something to me. You know, that means that you stack up against these top teams.
Of course, of course. And you know what? Speaking of that, let's talk about Dallas's, resurgence they've been having.
Yeah, Dallas, they, man. You know, in the first episode when I talked about the Note trade, I was like, who's getting fleeced? Both teams won the trade.
Yeah.
Note is ridiculous. AKM has looked really nice. But I think Note in particular has been a standout dude.
I think Dallas, needed Note. I think Note is what really brought that team out of where they were. And I say that with, both of the Texas teams last year were kind of, the super hyped up teams, and then ended up being, the butt of all the jokes. So it's nice to see Dallas finally having, this strong, force to push, through and become, a little bit of a threat in the lower part of the game.
I think they're, a playoff threat. I think they are, they're going to end up being one of the top teams, and a big part of that is AKM playing well. I think Note is a valuable addition to this team, but I think the real big part of this team looking so dominant is OG is playing the best video games of his entire life. I don't care if it was Pong when he was a kid. I don't care if it was Smash Brothers on, playing against his brother. I don't care if it's right now playing Winston. OGE is playing the best video games of his entire existence.
Yeah.
And just some of his performances this weekend, he's looked incredible, and he's had these incredible peels and these incredible primal rages, and OGE is rounding into form as like this incredible off tank that is just unstoppable. And I don't know if this is just like a 1 week, hey, you're looking pretty hot, but you're not really hot kind of thing, or if it's like an actual, this guy is peaking and he is coming into form at this perfect time. And if you look at kind of the standings, they are sitting at 8th right now, 2-0, and they do have a really good map differential of 8-1-1. So they are, a couple. I think they will end a couple maps ahead of Chengdu and Boston if they can keep up this winning.
They're sitting 6th right now.
Yeah, and so
you said 8th. They're sitting 6-1-1, and they're in 6th.
Yeah, so I think they can keep this up. They could end up being a top 4 seed, because I don't think the Gladiators are going to keep this up. So I think the Gladiators will drop to like 5th, and then I think Dallas will rise up within the top 4. I don't know if it'll be the 3rd seed or the 4th seed, but they will definitely be in the playoffs, and they're looking like they're peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
Some ugly losses, or some ugly wins, but if you win those ugly games, that means something to me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, because not a lot of teams can do that.
And then, of course, that brings us to the Battle for LA.
Yeah, so the Gladiators won.
Yeah.
But there was a tie.
It was 2-1. Yeah,
it was a tie.
There was a tie, which was interesting. But, again, the Gladiators won.
They did win. They talked mad shit on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
They won the Twitter game. They won the game. They won the after-game Twitter game.
They won the after-interview game.
They're winning today, probably. They probably had a really good breakfast, better lunch.
Sure.
Got into the hottest bars.
I mean, seeing how Valiant treats their players, it doesn't surprise me if they got the better lunch.
But I think it was interesting. I don't know if you agree with me.
They probably went out and bought new shoes.
Yeah.
Those boys love their shoes.
But I don't know if you agree with me that the Valiant looked nice yesterday.
They did look nice yesterday.
They looked cool. Or 2 days ago because, podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they looked really nice on Sunday. Obviously they messed up.
They messed up.
But Space looked like a god. He looked like the Space from
I feel like the tie is what kind of broke the Valiant. I can't say LA because they're both LA. Is what hurt the Valiant, because when they got that tie, it was like it looked like it took everything out of them to just push through getting that tie on Hanamura. I feel like if maybe it's just how the map's been changed and they're still used to the old map setup, but they looked good those first 2 maps, and then it was kind of slowly you could tell that they were getting weary towards the last 2. I still think they looked good. I think that what they did was impressive. But yeah, no, Gladiators just had it.
Space in particular I would like to highlight, because I think Space looked like the Space that we saw from season 1, where he was, in my opinion, just the best off tank in the entire league. Space in particular was very just incredible, and he looked kind of like the incredible Space. I mean, he had these ridiculous peels for his supports. He showed his uncanny game sense of being able to know yo, I need to go peel for Izayaki right now. I need to go peel for Custer right now, and knowing the right space to be, and just doing the little things that good demons do.
He had good game sense.
Yeah, he looked incredible. So I think if Space keeps playing this way,
yes,
and if Custa improves, he's been saying he's not happy with his play. So if he gets to the level where he knows he can be, and if Fate starts looking a little better. And really, if Agilities kind of stop sucking, and and you know, rises to the level that people kind of expect Agilities to be at, I think the Valiant are going to win a couple games, and I think they're not a playoff team, but I think they will go into stage 3
Stronger.
happy. Yeah, they'll go into stage 3 looking nice. So I think it's just baby steps, but they are taking baby steps, and Space coming into form is one of those baby steps.
Now, real quick, we're going to take a sponsored break from a close friend of the channel. See you back here in a second. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Now then, should we worried about Seoul, Washington, Spark, and Valiant? Which one of these guys are we hitting the panic button on?
Definitely not Seoul. All right, you know what? I feel like not Seoul, but I'm worried that they won't ever like go over the hump. Because they only had one game this week, and it was against Vancouver, and they got 3-1. And I think this is like I don't know. I feel like this is just another example of Seoul being a very good team, but not being good enough to go over these other teams.
Yeah.
I think, you know, they're not on the level of the Shock, the Titans, and they're not on the level of New York Excelsior.
They're not on the level of Dallas even.
Yeah, like they beat them, you know, like they beat NYXL in the playoffs, but I think that was more of a...
They had something against them.
Yeah, like that was going in there with like some hate, you know? But I think in like a rematch, you know, the New York Excelsior are going to want to get that game back. And they're going to get in that ass.
They're going to want it more.
There's a unspoken rivalry.
Yeah, but I think like skill-wise, I just don't know if Seoul's able to like get over that hump.
So they're not getting your panic button.
I'm like, you know, kind of like noodling the button a little bit.
You're noodling?
Not pressing it yet, but I'm just, you know, I'm kind of like...
ooh.
Yeah, it's like,
ooh.
you know, it's like Q was getting a little bit touchy, and I'm
yeah.
But I'm not like, you know, smashing it.
I was going to say, I was feeling the Cuba there on that button hover.
It's weird that sometimes we just don't see Fleta at all.
Yeah, that's true. Fleta's a really good player.
And he's a good player. Like, sometimes he doesn't, you know, like, he'll feed a little bit. But I do think it's weird that we don't see Fleta as much as we do, and we see so much of Fitz.
Yeah.
And Fitz is good, but I'm just wondering, you know, and maybe this is like a better question for like a Monte Cristo or something that's like really into the weeds on the stats. But I wonder if like a deep dive into the stats shows that like Fitz is better than Fleta, or if Fleta is just underperforming right now. Because I think right now could be the perfect time to have Fleta in there.
Yeah.
Because he's a sniper god, you know. You get on Junkertown, like you're
It's
solid.
over.
Yeah, like he'll get in that, you know. And Saya player's getting all this plays. Widowmaker, Corey's getting all this Widowmaker play. Carpe's getting it, and we're like,
we're seeing a lot of Widowmaker and a lot of Hanzo. It's been
like,
really
where's
interesting.
Fleta? You know?
Where is he?
Where's somebody who was known in like the first like season to play that Widow? Like, he was the one to watch. He was the most interesting. But now it's like you never see him.
And it's, you know, maybe, I mean, it's only 2 games, so we don't really know. But I wonder if it's just Seoul experimenting with lineups or something. You know, last week they run a lot of Jexy. You know, he's a name that doesn't necessarily pop up when you think of the Seoul Dynasty. I'm just really wondering where's Fleta? You know, where's Fleta? Is he okay? Is he hanging out on that island where Pine and Sabiel B are at?
Yeah.
Like where's Fleta, man? Like, I want to see more.
Where is Fleta?
Yeah, like,
you know, maybe it's like a coaching thing. Wait, did I say coaching? Washington, do they need the panic button?
Yeah, man, I hit the panic button.
You hit the panic button before we started this podcast.
Week 1, dog.
You hit the panic button.
Yeah.
You hit the panic button week 1, stage 1.
Yeah, like, I'll let Taylor talk about Washington because
Go ahead.
You know I got a soliloquy.
Washington, some of their players do look better in this meta.
Oh, Corey's looking nice. I like
Corey looks nice. I just don't think they're good. Would I smack a panic button on somebody who doesn't warrant my time to panic? No. So I'll save my panic button for some other time.
Wizard Hyung isn't worth it. I don't think coaching should take you far. Coaching should elevate your players. They did go through some turmoil with their general manager stepping down, announcing that she's stepping down at the end of the season. That's a whole topic for another day. Just kind of sexism in the gaming industry, kind of undue criticism. But with Washington, it's not a general manager issue. I think this roster, apparently Wizard Young handpicked this roster. So, I understand, he comes up to you and he's like, yo, I'm a genius coach. I was on NYXL last year. Let's get this work in. And then you let him pick his roster. You should expect results. You should expect him to know how to elevate this team because he wanted these people. He wanted Adu. He wanted Corey. Mm-hmm. He wanted Giannis. He wanted these players, and they're not performing. And
yeah,
it's a huge issue.
The fact that she stepped down, was she their statistics?
No, she was the general manager.
She was a general manager?
So she, kind of ran the whole operation.
Yeah. It's upsetting because, you can tell that, there's not a lot... I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of, women behind a bunch of these teams. I would say that it was a good choice for her to probably go a different route with where she would be the general manager of.
And so I think panic button's already been hit on Washington. Washington has been smashed. The missiles are going. They are there. I think what they need to do is trade. They need to get rid of some players. Mm-hmm. I think you trade Corey while his value was looking kind of high. I think as the stage goes on, Corey's limitations are going to show themselves.
Definitely.
So you get rid of Corey right now while his trade stock is high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get somebody from LA Valiant. You get maybe one of those bench dudes from New York Excelsior. You get people that are underplayed, get them into the system. Mm-hmm. They got Arc, and I'm happy with that move. Fleta. Yeah, get Fleta, or something. They got Arc.
Where is he?
Yeah, they got Arc, and he's been a consistent support for them. Giannis, have him. He's fine, but you could trade Giannis because he still has a name. Mm-hmm. He's still somebody that I think, in Atlanta or somebody might be like, yo, we'll take a flyer on him. Get a trade. I feel like you just need to go 2013, 14, 76ers and just... It's hard to tear it down, but I think you just need to start trading everybody, compile these assets.
They need to do what Boston and the Texas teams do, where as soon as things happen, they need to make moves.
So I think you trade Corey and you trade Giannis, and I don't know if Wizard Young is going to be okay with this because Giannis is his boy, Corey is one of his boys, but you need to start making moves.
The Hunters, London, Paris, and Philly, are they for real? Are they for real?
The Hunters aren't.
The Hunters aren't.
Oh wow, I remember we were talking earlier and you were like, "Oh, the Hunters are looking nice."
Okay, so the last time I was like, "Chengdu, yay, they're good," and then they lost to Shanghai.
Shanghai. I don't think Shanghai is a bad loss anymore. I think you lose to Shanghai. It's not a good loss, but it's respectable.
No, I know it's respectable, but they looked bad losing against them. It wasn't like the Chengdu Hunters who body blocked Paris with.
I'm okay.
Okay, I know Paris is not good.
Look.
Listen, I know Paris is not good, but it's not like them body blocking even better teams in Paris. They were coming out and being like, this is going to be easy matches. People were saying that Chengdu has a really easy setup, and they keep sleeping on Shanghai. I think Chengdu isn't for real. I don't think that they're going to they have stuff in their back pocket. They're trained to do multiple things, but I still think that they're a little too much one player centric. If they push everything into Ameng on one map, or they push everything into one support on a map, or they push everything into one person, one person is the center of this whole thing, and then as soon as they go down, it's they're well, we can still fight them 5v6, but they can't.
That's true. If you do kind of watch their games, just something you kind of notice is sometimes it'll be Jinmu going crazy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll be Banka Jack going crazy. Sometimes it'll be a main going crazy. But it does always kind of feel where it's they're just kind of taking turns. All right, yo, Bacon Jack, this is your point.
Bacon Jack, you have Oasis, or Ameng, you have Blizzard World, and then it's just, it feels like those maps are what this one person is just, you're going to carry the whole team on this map. Good luck. Go out there. And then as soon as that one person gets targeted, taken down, and keeps getting like targeted over and over and over and over again, that's when Chengdu falls apart.
They beat up on bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They fit their name. They are hunters.
Yes, like when they played Shanghai, Shanghai isn't a bad team anymore.
Mm-mm.
They are mid-tier, but they are not a exclusively bad team. You know, they'll lose to Shanghai, and I think that was also kind of a fluke. I think, you know, Chengdu just kind of looked, just kind of went in not looking as strong. But as a course, they beat up on shitty teams.
Okay.
And that's not sustainable.
That's not sustainable. No, okay.
One last thing.
There's only like 5 shitty teams in the league.
like-
We'll let Taylor get her last thing out before we move on to
Chengdu
London.
went into this thinking like it was #winnable. They went into that Shanghai fight thinking we could just pull the same thing as we've been pulling. And then Shanghai was like, no, we're ready for you.
There's something to prove.
Yeah, Shanghai is something to prove.
They want to be the best team.
Hunters need to prove something, but I don't think they know that yet. I don't think they like really want to realize that. Now, London.
Prophet is the best player in the Overwatch League. I will say that right now.
I've been sleeping on London too much. Prophet is the best.
There is going to be Prophet highlights exclusively for the rest of this podcast. Prophet is the best player alive.
Can we? Okay.
He's incredible.
I agree. I think Prophet is like incredible.
You have to pull in season 1 stuff just so you can be playing.
Dude, no,
against
this
the
is
right team.
it's only going to be Prophet highlights from now on.
Please don't.
Just because he is, oh my god.
He's really.
We'll do a double upload, and we'll upload this, and adjacent to that, we'll upload Prophet highlights.
Yes, there will be an entire episode of exclusively Prophet highlights.
Okay, so
And a little bit of Fury thrown in because he's been really, really good.
yes,
Okay, go ahead, Taylor.
but
Best team.
I feel like there's 2 teams that get slept on like in the entire like Overwatch League, and that's like Boston and then London. But I feel like London is slept on a little bit more because in the beginning they didn't show as like strong as they had been. And I feel like last season they were one of those teams where it started off really strong or ended really strong, and then
Reigning champions.
I know they ended super strong. So like they did really, 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 really good. But I also feel like at the beginning they were kind of like the other like Soul and Spark, where it was kind of like they were just on that hill. And I think they're finally showing that they're like not just on. They're at the top of the hill right now.
They're getting over it. See, my thing with London is that I think their problem, the reason they get slept on, is like when you hear about Overwatch League, you don't hear London Spitfire thrown around a lot. Like you don't hear their name, especially on this side of the pond. I bet if you're like over in Europe, you probably hear their name more. But like especially in America, you hear Boston more than you hear London.
I mean, they are the only good team in Europe, so
that is true.
I think
you don't have many choices.
I feel like everyone's just afraid to like be like we like London because you know they're the reigning champs.
Oh my! Like people forget this. They are the reigning champions of the Overwatch League.
Yep.
People are forgetting
they
about
have that cup at their home.
Yes, like they are. They beat Philly, and they beat Philly in one of. I'm trying to think of if this is the right game, but I'm pretty sure the Philly game is where they won. What's the
London?
Yeah, no, they won.
Kings Row.
No, not Kings Row. It's damn, the one with the rocket.
Gibraltar.
Yeah, they won. I'm pretty sure it was them that won Gibraltar off a solo ult.
Yeah,
Where the Zarya, I'm pretty sure it was Prophet solo ulted to stop the other Zarya from having ult.
We all know that clip is going to be in there. It's going to be right here there. if he's not wrong.
It's going to be on repeat for the rest of this. It is. They do some of the most incredible plays, and Fury, some of the grabs he ate, like that's. People talk about 10,000 IQ plays.
So I think one of the things is when Atlanta Reign came in and they were like, "Here's Baby Bay, here he is on Zarya," and you can tell that Baby Bay isn't like a terrible Zarya.
Fury made him his bitch.
But Fury made him his bitch.
I can't stress this enough.
Okay,
Baby Bay is like
guys.
They are undefeated.
London is undefeated. We don't even need to keep saying London's undefeated. I feel like we're a little excited in here.
And when they run into Vancouver, they're gonna get wrecked. But beside the point.
Okay,
that's beside the point.
We're gonna calm down real quick. We're gonna talk about our other option from Europe.
All right.
And the excitement's going to go in a different direction. Let's talk about Paris.
I hate to say it, but, and I'm going to be disagreed with, I kind of like Paris. I kind of like what they're doing now. I feel like
they're better.
This is what...
they're better now.
This is what they needed. They're... For a team who came in and everybody was like, they're the GOATS team of Europe. They have some of the best GOATS players in Europe. Blah, 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 blah.
They're better not playing.
I feel like they're better not playing GOATs. And I wonder if it's because when they were coming into the Overwatch League, they thought that meta was on the way out. Because, like, everybody who is playing now, they're doing good. They're, they're at least scoring.
They're not trash.
They're not trash.
They did lose against Dallas, but Dallas is obviously, as we said, Dallas is a playoff team.
Yeah, Dallas is a playoff team.
I think they're fine. I think Cruz isn't playing trash. I think Shadowburn and Soon are playing nice.
Mm-hmm.
Finney. You don't really hear about him a lot.
I don't think I forget. I'm sorry, I forget about him.
Yeah, and Cloudy, you kind of hear about him a lot. Like they have players that are solid. They're a solid team. I think they're rounding into form.
I think the good thing is
They're
though,
so bad.
because Fincy and Cloudy are the tanks. I feel like it helps that we don't hear a lot about their tanks.
I think you should, man.
I think you should be hearing about
this. This is the time.
This is the time you should be hearing about tanks. And honestly,
you heard about OGE.
Like to be fair, people are always like, especially if you're playing like casuals, and everyone's always like, "Oh man, supports. We need a support. But like, a support's nothing without a tank. Like a support can try however much they want to heal a team.
I feel like it's a good thing that because one of the casters, I don't know their names unless it's Bruncast or Monte Cristo. One of them says it's best to know somebody's doing well as a tank if they're doing it silently. Like you should be able to when you see the stats itself, you should be able to be like, wow, they're doing really good as Diva. And I feel like that's another thing that would have to hear from one of them, where it's like the statistics of what they're doing as these tank roles.
I mean, but let's look at the tanks from this week in particular.
Well, just stage 2 in general. Think about how important the tanks have been.
Yes, we have Space, OGE, Bumper, Super. Sominsu is technically still a tank right now.
Even stage 1. I mean, it was GOAT, so of course tanks are important. But we had Sinatra going off as Zarya. We have just all these amazing plays as tanks, and I think tanks are a super important component. And I don't think that statement, however wise it may be, holds as true now. You should be able to be seeing these tanks go off, because that's the meta we're in.
And
it's all about tanks.
Obviously, you don't want to hear a tank in the way of this tank is feeding, dying every team fight, the first to die. But I think right now you want to have your tank be the player of the match every single game.
Mm.
Because when a tank is going off like that, it's just something that you can't stop. And it's a signal of, one, incredible tank play, but it's also a signal of their team is giving them the support.
Yep.
And so I think that yes, you do want to have a tank that's chilling. Every team kind of has that tank that's they're just holding it down. They're doing the dirty work. But you need a tank that's loud and
they
putting up
definitely
stats.
need one of them to become that louder tank.
They don't have it.
And they don't have it. One of them needs to step up and be that louder tank.
Now we're going back to our sponsors. We hope they can help us fund an outro.
I come from a land down under. Repeat us slow and mention her.
Guess what? The sponsors were willing to pay for the outro. I did have to beg a little bit, and I may be missing a kidney, but that's besides the point. Anyways, what really matters is that if you want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Discord, you can follow us on those first two at Scrapyard Media, and Discord down there. It's down there. No, not down there. That's too far. You're in the comments. Description. You gotta go below the video, and if you're on mobile, you gotta click the little triangle and pop out. Discord. Okay. Now then, roll that outro.
You come from a land down under. Women go